Party arrived in Gothenburg to find that the temperature was a little bit lower than what they'd left back at home. Yet despite the cold and the snow, their Swedish hosts laid on a warm welcome for them. And here at Volvo's headquarters, they were given their first glimpse of the new cars. Driving the Volvos would come later when the party headed to Geneva and thereafter on to the south of France. But before that, they had a preview of things to come. Top Car editor Deon Schoeman.
You're looking at the future, and in fact a vehicle called the Volvo ECC, short for Environmental Concept Car. And in fact, it's a vehicle powered by a combination of gas turbine and electric power, the idea being to control emissions to as close as zero as possible. Battery technology doesn't allow electric cars to be feasible at this stage, and the gas turbine helps the vehicle to have enough power and enough range, in fact, to cover sufficient distance and to allow a higher top speed. You're looking at a car which, together with gas turbine and electric power, can run over a distance of some 670 kilometers and has a top speed of around 175 kilometers an hour. 0 to 100 time, 13 seconds. If you compare that with pure electric operation, the 0 to 100 time jumps to over 20 seconds, and range at best would only be around 90 kilometers.
The ECC car, which we first showed you on Drive Time's Frankfurt Motor Show special last year, is certainly one of the most attractive and practical of the current batch of concept cars. And at the New York International Motor Show 18 months ago, it was voted the driver's choice for the best environmental concept car. There's none of the noise associated with petrol or diesel-powered machines, of course, and provided you like mustard-coloured upholstery, it's got a lot of class and very elegant styling. It's Volvo's prototype of the family car of the future, and apart from its use of electrical power, it adds to Volvo's environmental protection concerns by making use of recyclable material. Surprisingly, the Volvo 850, which is the car we now have in South Africa, is not built here at Gothenburg, but at the Volvo plant in Ghent in Belgium. The main assembly plant in Sweden is at Torslanda, where over 82,000 cars are built every year. Outside Sweden, Volvo has production and assembly plants in Belgium, Canada, Holland, Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia. And here's Vince Gilby of the Daily News in Durban, making sure that the quality of the new Volvo comes up to scratch. Volvo, incidentally, is partly owned by Renault, and together the two companies make up one of the largest car manufacturing organizations in the world. Joint development of running gears for cars is underway between the two companies so that the same components, engines and gearboxes, for example, can be used. Renault buy Volvo petrol engines, while Volvo purchase Renault's diesel engine. In addition, Renault have been providing the engines and gearboxes for the Volvo 400 series, while Volvo's been supplying pressed steel metal parts to the French manufacturer. And not surprisingly, the highest technology is used here at Gothenburg.
We're in Volvo's 800 million rand high-tech paint facility, regarded by many as the most advanced paint facility in the world. And in fact, before the cars get here, they've gone through a long and involved process which is designed not only to ensure very, very high quality paint finish, but also that it is a facility that is incredibly environment friendly. And to give you an idea of how environment conscious they are, 1.5 million cubic meters of air is processed every hour in this particular facility.
Well, like most manufacturers, Volvo keeps a collection of historic cars in their museum, which the South African party were lucky enough to visit, and that's more than the general public can do.
We're standing in the Volvo Veteran Car Museum, a very interesting and rather secretive place because this is not a museum open to the public, and you have to actually know somebody pretty high up at Volvo to get yourself in here. One of the interesting displays is this particular one right here, which is a group of cars owned by previous chief executives of the Volvo Corporation. And it would appear that half of them liked red cars, as you can see on my left, and the other half were more into somewhat subdued cars. This display, of course, not the only one at the museum, a whole load of interesting vehicles stretching right back to 1927 when Volvo started operations, and we will take you somewhere through those exhibits in this wonderful museum, which in fact is located in an old disused shipyard on the outskirts of Gothenburg. This rather unlikely looking Volvo behind me is known as Philip, a prototype from the early 50s, which was to have been equipped with virtually everything and anything you could think of, including power steering, power brakes, and a V8 engine producing 120 brake horsepower. These three cars are of particular significance to South Africans. If you take the P122, the 144, and then of course the Grand 164, those were the cars that epitomized and perhaps still epitomize Volvo in the minds of South Africans. And you'll understand that subsequent to that, 20 years later, Volvo has moved on quite significantly. And what we find today are cars that are much more advanced in technology. But even as they stand there, at the time, very attractive cars, built for safety, built for a surprising amount of speed, and even today, 20 years on, fairly attractive.
Times and tastes may change over the years, and certainly the shape of the Volvo has evolved and come an awful long way since the older models which we've just seen. Let's take a look at the 850 now in action. One of the questions we've been asked about the return of Volvo is why have they chosen to come back with a car of this size and not the smaller and more affordable 440, 460 and 480 series? Well, the answer is quite simple. Volvo intend to replace that 400 series sometime towards the beginning of next year, and we're told that the new 400 series will be available in South Africa sometime after its European debut, probably around about September 1995. A little bit later this year, we expect to see the 960 Volvo in the country. That's a 2.5-litre V6 car, and it comes both in sedan and estate car or station wagon derivatives. Now, the 850 is also available in a station wagon, and Volvo have chosen to name it the Sport Wagon. It's a very classy-looking motor car, and we're told that the limited number of the estate car derivatives that have been brought in already have been snapped up. So far, a total of about 180 cars has arrived in South Africa, imported by Amalgamated Motor Holdings. And they'll be marketed under the banner of Swedo Car, with branches in Durban, Cape Town, Johannesburg and Pretoria. The GLT comes in a normally aspirated 2.5-litre version, which is available with automatic and manual transmission. The turbo version, the 850 T5, is a 2.3-litre turbo engine, and it also comes in manual and automatic. And the sport wagon, the estate car version, will be available in manual, automatic and with a turbo engine. Sadly, our local road test didn't allow us to open up the 850 Turbo to its full potential. What is immediately apparent about the car is the strength and safety aspects. It's a car that turns heads, even though the overall styling and design still retains much of the square traditional Volvo shape, which is even more pronounced in the estate car. All the latest safety devices, however, have been installed, including ABS and a driver's airbag. And along with the side impact protection system, 3-point inertia reel safety belts are in all the rear seat positions. The interior of the Volvo is absolutely luxurious. Wall-to-wall leather and nice comfortable bucket-type seats with these nice big head restraints right behind us. Ergonomically, I think it's one of the best laid out cockpits that I've come across in a long time. The steering wheel, of course, is tilt adjustable and the instrumentation is exactly where it should be. The speedometer right in front of you, the rev counter to the right-hand side, and the rest of the gauges for petrol, temperature and turbo boost on the left. It's particularly easy to read at night when it lights up into a sort of pale opaque green with the needle showing up in bright red. Very, very easy to read indeed. Otherwise, all the controls are placed exactly where they should be and they're very, very easy to reach and operate all the time. And here's something that should warm the cockles of your heart. This little switch here operates the heating for the two front seats, and they do, I can assure you, warm up quite a bit. Just the thing you'd need for the snow and ice up in Northern Europe, but I shouldn't think they'll be doing too much overtime here in South Africa. Well, the rear seat passengers haven't been forgotten either. There's absolutely tons of room here in the back of the Volvo, even for a long-legged creature like myself, and that's with the driver's seat right back for my optimum driving position. I said that the safety features in the Volvo were good. They're outstanding, in fact, and here's one that's very, very clever. The center armrest between the two rear seats folds down, and it opens up, not to reveal, as you might expect, a cocktail cabinet, but an integrated child safety seat. On goes the little one, he's got his own safety belt, and it keeps him in place. Now that is brilliant. Volvo introduced a wide range of child safety products as far back as 1986, and exhaustive testing has resulted in the introduction of the child safety seat in the 850 as a standard feature. In fact, many of the safety features on modern cars were in fact developed and patented by Volvo, such as the laminated windscreen in 1944 and the 3-point seatbelt in 1959. Well, this is where the Volvo gets its, quite frankly, awesome power from. And it's quite a break from tradition as far as Volvo is concerned. First of all, the engine is transversely mounted and it drives the front wheels. It's a 2.3-litre, 5-cylinder, 4 valves per cylinder engine, and of course it's turbo boosted. And that turbo puts up the power output to 166 kilowatts at 5,300 RPM. And it comes in round about 2,500 revs, very, very smoothly, no turbo lag whatsoever. 300 newton meters of torque here in a power band from about 2,000 up to 5,000 revs. Now all that power under your foot enables you to take the Volvo 850 Turbo from a standing start up to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.4 seconds, and it has a top speed of 240 kilometers an hour. The 850 series will certainly appeal to Volvo fans who have the sort of cash to buy one. The 850 Turbo manual we tested will get you about 30 bucks change from 200,000 rand, whereas the normally aspirated models are in the same price bracket as the Mercedes E220, BMW's 525i and the Audi 500 SEL. The estate version of the 850 is altogether another story which we'll bring you in a few weeks' time. And that's it